Month, we have been discussing mental health awareness, and for many people, especially within the last few years, anxiety, uncertainty, and depression are becoming more common.
This morning, we're learning more about building up our mental health, as well as how we can be more prepared to face adversity. Joining us this morning is inspirational speaker, mental health advocate, and transformational coach, Warren Falkenstein, or Warrior Warren, with Morg. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so let's start off with your nickname, Warrior Warren. How did you earn that?
Well, recently I gave a stage talk, and my story is about basically about how I spent my entire life in a wheelchair, and I went from wheelchair to warrior, dealing with adversity almost my entire life with an unknown disability most of my life. So dealing with the uncertainty is sort of my thing.
Warren, I'm wondering if you could, for anybody who's joining us at home, can you give us a little bit of your background and tell us a little bit about your journey and your story?
I'd be happy to. Thank you for asking. I was born fine, normal, like a normal, healthy baby. And then over time, a disability hit me, an illness that was unknown most of my life. So I was undiagnosed and I had everything. Everything was normal functioning. And over time, I lost some of my hands, parts of my functionality of my hands and my features and functionality. So basically, over time, things started getting worse. And every day I had to wake up with different pains. And when you're dealing with a disability like that, everything's amplified from your mental health, your spiritual pain, physical pain, emotional pain. And it was a journey. Doctors told me in front of my parents that I wasn't going to make it. And I had a choice at that moment to decide what I was going to do with that information.
So you really have overcome so much. That really must make you quite the advocate for pain, both physical and mental, which I'm sure your conversations and speaking with other people must really provide a little bit of insight to them.
Yes, for sure.
So you're a multi-award winner for giving speeches about your journey. How did that begin for you?
It began by just learning that there's a purpose for our pain. There's a purpose for us being here in this world. And in order for us to inspire others, we need to show up in life no matter how hard it is. The more that we inspire others, we encourage other people to do the same. And just by stepping into our light, into our power, into our essence, we inspire people without even knowing. So the more that I interact with the communities, the more they've been asking me, like, why don't you speak more and just show up more in life? And I just felt that as my calling.
You have said, and you just said it there's power in showing up. What does that mean?
It means responsibly showing up despite the pain that we're going through. So we may be going through something very hard in our lives. And for example, I could be walking in a hospital hallway and going through something myself that could be very painful and devastating. And I could have just had a very hard conversation with a doctor, but somebody else in the hallway is going through something. And as I walk through that hallway, if I smile at somebody else, it's going to inspire them, to give them a little bit more hope and more courage to get through whatever they're going through despite my challenges. So the more that I push myself responsibly to show up in life, the more that I'm going to inspire other people without even knowing that I am.
With several awards, your words obviously resonate with a lot of people. For someone who might be sitting at home this morning, who might be going through it, who might have a physical ailment, who might have some mental health concerns, what would you say to them, to help them power through?
I would tell them that they're still here and there's a purpose for us being here in this world. And the more that we focus on reframing what it is that we're going through and understanding that we are all struggling in one way or another, and we're not alone, that there are ways that we can find purpose within that pain and within that struggle. And to imagine a superhero, for example, imagine one of your favorite superheroes. How can you be like that superhero and look back and realize who you are today because of that pain?
What kind of tips do you have for people who, we're all facing adversity right now, but what kind of suggestions do you have to be that superhero or that person that you need?
One of my favorite suggestions would be to focus on how we can get into a calm state of mind. When we are in a calm state, that we are able to think more clearly and deal with resilience in a more proactive way. And by doing that, I would suggest basically is find a non-negotiable that you can have in your back pocket to use on a daily basis. For example, a breathing technique. So one of my favorite breathing techniques would be to breathe in through your nose and hold it, and then breathe in again and then let it out. And by doing that 4 times in a row, it calms the vagus nerve, it calms your whole system, and then you're able to deal with the adversity or unexpected things that happen your way. I do that almost all day. I have an alarm clock set for 30 minutes every day just to do that.
Fantastic.
You seem to be an incredible human being and very inspiring. Somebody who wants to learn more, where do we send them?
They can visit my website at walkwithwarren.com or find me on Instagram at walkwithwarren.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it, and we're so thankful for the insight and the advice.
Keep powering through, my friend. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, stick with us. Local headlines are coming up next.